Have you ever wanted to try something new? Maybe it's picking up a guitar, starting a side business, or even just going to a new gym, but you felt this heavy, sinking sensation in your chest? It's not exactly fear of failure. It's more specific than that. It's the fear of being a beginner. It's that cringing feeling of being the person in the room who doesn't know what they're doing. It's the fear of the clumsy phase, where your taste and your goals are way up here, but your actual skill level is way down here. Most people never start their dream projects because they can't tolerate the gap between their vision and their current ability. They'd rather stay a competent amateur at something they hate than be a clumsy novice at something they love. Today, we're going to dismantle that fear and show you why being a beginner is actually the most powerful psychological state you can be in. In psychology, we often talk about social evaluative threat. This is the fancy term for the fear that others are judging us. When you're a beginner, your ego feels incredibly vulnerable because you haven't built up a reputation in that new field yet. We live in a highlight reel culture. We see the finished product, the polished YouTuber, the athlete or successful CEO, and our brains subconsciously delete the thousands of hours of embarrassing mistakes it took to get there. We've pathologized being bad at things. We think if we're not naturally gifted on day one, we're imposters. But here's the truth. Imposter syndrome is actually just the feeling of growth. If you don't feel like an imposter at least once a week, you probably aren't pushing your boundaries. Why is being a beginner so physically and mentally exhausting? 1. Cognitive load and myelin. When you're an expert, your brain uses chunks. You don't have to think about how to drive a car, it's automated. But as a beginner, every single movement requires conscious thought. This creates a massive cognitive load. You're literally building myelin, the fatty tissue that insulates your neural pathways to make them faster. Building myelin is a high-friction process. It feels like frustration, but neurologically, that frustration is the signal that your brain is actually changing. No frustration, no growth. 2. The taste gap, the Ira-glass effect. There's a famous concept called the gap. When you start, your taste is already highly developed. You know what good music sounds like or what a good business looks like, but your output doesn't match your taste yet. This mismatch creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain hates the gap, so it tries to get you to quit to resolve the discomfort. The trick isn't to close the gap faster, it's to learn to live inside it. How to embrace the clumsy phase. The 10-hour rule. Most people quit things in the first 5 to 10 hours. Why? Because that's when the ratio of effort to reward is at its worst. The strategy is commit to 10 hours of uninterrupted badness. Tell yourself, I am allowed to be terrible for exactly 10 hours. Once you hit hour 11, you'll find that the clumsiness starts to fade and the fun starts to kick in. Lower the stakes, the private practice phase. The fear of being a beginner is usually a fear of being seen as a beginner. The strategy is give yourself a stealth period. Don't announce your new project on Instagram. Don't tell your judgmental cousin. Practice in a sandbox where the cost of a mistake is 0. This lowers your cortisol levels in your brain, allowing you to learn faster. Focus on input goals over output goals. If your goal is write a great book, you'll freeze because you're not a great writer yet. The strategy is change the goal to write 500 bad words today. You can always control your input, the work, even when you can't yet control the output, the quality. I want you to realize that the most interesting people you know are the ones who are willing to look foolish. The expert is often rigid. They have a reputation to protect, so they stop taking risks. But the beginner is free. You have no reputation to lose. You have the beginner's mind, or shoshin, which allows you to see possibilities that experts walk right past. Stop punishing yourself for not being an expert yet. You wouldn't yell at a seed for not being a tree, you just give it water and time. Give yourself that same grace. Being a beginner isn't a stage you have to get through to reach the good stuff. Being a beginner is good stuff. It's the only time your brain is this plastic, this open and this alive with new connections. What is one thing you've been avoiding because you're afraid of looking like a novice? Tomorrow, I want you to spend 15 minutes doing it badly. Don't forget to grab the Action to Research worksheet from the last video to make sure you aren't just researching the fear, but actually facing it. Go be a beginner today. It's the bravest thing you can do.